Hello guys, welcome back to another Linktree trading video. In this one we're going to be doing some in-depth stock analysis on Boeing. Before we get into the analysis, so I have created a free new newsletter that will come out once a week, most likely Sunday evening. So if you do want to subscribe to this, kind of roughly what it will be, all you need to do is either go onto Instagram, it'll be a Linktree, or you can come over to resources in the Discord server, which is also free, and come and just sign up over here. And all you'll be asked to do is just throw in an email and a first name, so quite easy. But yeah, to get straight in then to the analysis, all we will do is start off on the clean daily chart as we always do to see is there any gaps that need to be filled, because more likely than not a gap will get filled, and if it's a very obvious gap you tend to get strong movement within this area. So one gap that does kind of stand out is this all-time low one. Usually this isn't a big enough gap for me to consider it, but when it's the 52-week low, that's when we can consider it, because when people go onto a chart, your eyes instantly draw to kind of the low and high. So if there's a gap at one of those, you tend to get some movement coming into that level. So off the bat, that kind of 195.50, 199.75 should have a reaction. Looking at the rest of it, doesn't seem to be anything else within new areas. I mean, on Friday it came down to the 112 or the 113 level. So that gap's kind of been filled. So yeah, the only one we were really looking at is this 195. But as we're not really short biased on Boeing, at least not me personally, it is kind of at a point where we will not be using it as a target. So the way we use gaps is usually as a target, and in this case we wouldn't even be able to use it as a target because yeah, we're not really going to be short biased. And you'll see now, lining up with the deviations, is this gap fill lines up exactly with our second deviation on the daily and very close to our first deviation on the 4 hour. So what this does tell us, and what we always look for in gaps, and the reason we would cover there if it was a short, is that buying pressure comes in. And it's not really a coincidence that the standard deviation channels have lined up with that level, just to add added confidence on this long. So if Boeing does come down to this 197, 195 area, it'll be a very low risk long area, and yeah, definitely something we would look to trade long. But we'll look at what's closer, and right now that's the 211 area. So when Boeing does come into this 211 area, it is considered a low risk long. And what is quite nice getting along at this level is you can see very closely at around 204, 205, we do have quite strong support over here. As we see, we tried to touch this or break this now 3 times. It's come back. So at 211 is where you can kind of see a low risk long. And adding at 204 kind of wouldn't be a would kind of be an alright area to be adding. One thing though to be taking into account when you get a support like this is people do look at support and resistance lines differently. And one way I personally look at them, you may look at them differently, is that when you have a stock continuously coming into a support, there's a reason, and it's because it wants to break lower. So you can trade it multiple times as it's coming into this support until it eventually breaks, but more likely than not it will break this soon. And by soon I just mean within the next 52 weeks. I imagine we would break through, and it wouldn't be unlikely for it to really even do it on this tap. So yes, we are coming into a low risk long area, but it does mean be hesitant, because if we break this 204, we will most likely have quite a strong sell-off, and we would expect it to come at least down to the 295/297 area, which would be the other long area we would be looking at. Yeah, by that I mean, yeah, if we break this 204, we would most likely come down, say $200 level, because you get that psychological level. Most likely bounce off here, retest 204, and push down further to the 197, 195, and that's again where we would look to get long. So if you are looking to get long on this 211 area, probably something I would do on smaller size, just because we have continuously come into this support. And again, depending on how you look at it, if you're continuously bouncing off a support, some people look at that as a strong support and you would look to trade it long. Other people, such as myself, see it as if a stock keeps trying to come down to this level, it's most likely going to break through it. So again, depending on your trading strategy and how you interpret stuff, you may look at that trade a bit differently, but I'm more focused on Boeing on the 197 and the 195 long areas. And again, if it does break through there, we obviously do have lower levels going a bit lower, and the 180 to 183 will be that next good and strong long area. And then on the very low end, you got the 169. This don't really see Boeing going down that low, but if it does, again, it's another low risk long area. Now, where would we have kind of our main target? So if we're getting in at 211, our first kind of key target would be 225. The reason we say 225, even though that's a bit below the statistical mean and the first standard deviation, is that 225 is a strong psychological level. If you watched, I think it was the previous analysis video, we went in quite depth onto psychological levels, and we said anything like a $10 or $5 level will be strong, but the key ones will always be the whole $100, and that's why you tend to see when we're coming down to this 204/$200 level, you're getting a lot of buying pressure. But the the whole $100 level will always be key. And the 25, the 50, and the $75 are always key. And like when we used to do a lot more of the smaller cap and penny stocks, we used to talk about the 25 cents, 50 cents, 75 cents, and dollar levels. Same thing on the large caps, but we're looking at them on obviously larger dollar values. So yeah, the key target would be that 225, or at least the first level, where we would be, okay, we want to move our stock to at least break even and most likely lock in some profits, if not all, depending on your style of trading. If it does break through there, obviously then we will look for that next target, and that next one will be 240, because what you do see with Boeing, and it's quite a nice thing to see, is when you see the deviations lining up on both charts, because it's the second deviation on the 4 hour and the first deviation on the daily. But when you see deviations line up, they tend to be a lot stronger. So it's a good thing if you're looking at profits, because you know you probably won't be missing out on any gains. If it comes into this level, you most likely know there's going to be a strong pullback. And again, if you're buying, like we would be looking to do more at the 197, 195, more or increased chance of it getting, it's more of a reversal. I mean, we would always expect to kind of see some sort of a bounce, but it will give us more confidence on an actual reversal happening, which will allow us to hit those bigger targets. And then again, obviously, if it continues higher, the 195 to 255 to 256, and again going on higher, 269 to 271. And again, these are quite far off targets, so if we did come into these targets, we would have an updated video. So that's the overall breakdown on Boeing. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you see you in the next one, and that's it. Peace.